Top of the morning, y'all, from your host, Colin Gary. Hope y'all had a great spring break and are having an even greater spring. Now that the vomit, body glitter, and crushed beer cans from St. Fratty's weekend have been cleared off the grass, this is the perfect week to kick off the new season. In fact, maybe it's because I'm a romantic, or maybe it's the sunny skies, the warmer weather, and the blooming flowers, but whatever it is, I just feel so light and airy and... oh. Well, looks like my proud Irish half forgot about VTV's biggest rule. Don't wear green if you're using the green screen. That's right, folks, the backdrop behind me is just a computer-generated image. And while I am sorry for ruining the illusion, there is something I've always wanted to try. I'm a floating head, I'm a floating head, I'm a floating head. Anyway, now that I've had my fun, it's time for y'all to have yours in the form of drama, and more drama coming up right after the break on The Scoop. But the first, wardrobe! That's better. As much as I love wearing my shamrock green, it's kind of awkward hosting without a torso. Anyway, while we're on the subject of blurring the lines between screen and reality, let's talk about how President Trump wants to waste tax dollars on a federal investigation into America's favorite late-night comedy show, Saturday Night Live. This past Sunday, just hours after watching a repeat of SNL's 2018 Christmas episode, particularly the opening sketch, It's a Wonderful Trump, the president launched a Twitter rant claiming that the people on SNL are not just humorless and talentless, but also guilty of spreading fake news through their collusion with the Democrats and the Russians. You know that expression, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned? Well, SNL cast member Leslie Jones certainly felt scorned, and she did not hesitate to express it. Leslie took to social media and responded to President Trump's tweets by saying, quote, "This guy is an idiot. It was a rerun, you moron. Hashtag Lord help us, please." Amen to that, sister. Next up, continuing with the trend of shocking but true stories, I believe Peyton has some juicy tidbits waiting for us on the Big Three.
Thanks, Colleen. Let's get right down to business with this week's installment of the Big Three. Full House star Lori Loughlin is in some hot water and finds herself in our number 3 spot this week. Loughlin, along with 40 other people, including actress Felicity Huffman, have been indicted in an alleged college admissions cheating scandal. She and her husband are facing charges for paying $500,000 in bribes so that her daughters could be recruited for the University of South Carolina rowing team. And for context, neither of Loughlin's daughters had any involvement with the sport prior to attending college. Loughlin was caught red-handed when federal agents found emails that proved her and her husband's involvement and have been charged with conspiracy to commit mail fraud and honest servers mail fraud. And as a result, she has been taken into custody and brought into federal court on this past Wednesday. While it sounded like the only house Loughlin would be staying in anytime soon was the jailhouse, she was released on $1 million bail and was cleared to continue working in Vancouver. However, in response to Loughlin's scandal, she may not have work for much longer. The Hallmark Channel has quickly announced that they would be cutting all creative ties with the TV star, and rumor has it that she'll also be axed from the upcoming season of Fuller House on Netflix. Now, the story that takes the number 2 spot this week has been talked about before on an episode of The Big Three, but a major development has changed in regards to James Gunn and the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise. This past Friday, Disney announced that they would be rehiring Gunn to work on the third Guardians of the Galaxy film. While the news just broke this past week, sources say that the decision to reinstate Gunn was actually made months ago. In a tweet that Gunn tweeted on Friday afternoon, he wrote, "I deeply appreciate Disney's decision, and I am excited to continue making films that investigate the ties of all the love that binds us." Now, for those of you who don't remember, Gunn was originally fired as director when offensive past tweets had resurfaced online by conservative critics. After uncovering these tweets, Gunn was quick to apologize about how inappropriate the jokes were, and was ultimately fired by Disney at the time. Interestingly enough, Gunn will now be the director of 2 films from 2 competing film studios, both of which are slated to hit theaters in 2020. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 from Marvel, and Suicide Squad 2 from DC. Continuing with the Marvel trend, the number 1 spot this week goes to the final trailer that was released for the upcoming movie Avengers Endgame. Here is a quick preview of the trailer.
know I said no more surprises, but I was really hoping to pull off one last one.
The world has changed. None of us can go back.
While the trailers present a mix of never-before-seen shots of the upcoming movie and scenes from the previous Marvel movies, fans noticed that something was missing on the movie poster released right after the trailer's debut. At first, Marvel re-released this theatrical poster, and many fans became angered once they noticed that Danai Gurira, the one who plays Okoye from Black Panther, was not included in the credits listed at the top of the poster. Out of the 13 characters that were labeled on the movie poster, she was the only one who didn't have her name displayed above the title. Realizing their mistake, Marvel Studios quickly issued a new movie poster that included the addition of Gurira's name and issued a tweet that said, "She should have been here all this time." Well, that's it for this week's Big Three. Back to you, Colleen.
Thank you, Peyton. As someone who grew up watching Full House and who got Netflix for the sole purpose of watching Fuller House, I was beyond crushed to learn about Aunt Becky's involvement in the USC scandal. But you know what else has left TV fans crushed? Let's ask Annabelle.
Hello, I'm Annabelle Clark, and this is What's on TV this week. We have finally reached the end of a lackluster season of The Bachelor. Despite the lack of many memorable moments or contestants throughout the season, there was an exciting finale. Well, it would have been exciting if it had occurred in 1 hour instead of 4, but I rest my case. Colton entered Fantasy Suites week with 3 ladies, Tayshia, Hannah G, and Cassie, and left with 0. Cassie dumped him, and he pleaded with her endlessly, telling her that she was the only one for him and that even going on dates with other women had been painful. To show her just how true his love was, he broke up with the other 2 women and pursued Cassie in full force. You know, like how normal couples not on TV shows act. In the end, he and Cassie wound up happily in love. Maybe more so in his case than hers, but I'll give Cassie the benefit of the doubt. Chris Harrison also made the announcement that the next Bachelorette would be Hannah B., the 24-year-old pageant queen who, when asked on her first date to make a toast, stumbled for 5 minutes before finally settling on Roll Tide. As a big fan of the Bachelor shows, I must admit that I'm pretty unhappy with the choice to go with a recent college graduate who can't form a sentence. I'm not the only one, as audiences have been pretty mixed in response, especially given that pictures of Hannah B's contestants were released and, let's just say, it's not great. Still, any Bachelorette is better than no Bachelorette, I guess. In other TV news from the week, Netflix has officially canceled fan-favorite show One Day at a Time after only 3 seasons on the platform. Fans have revolted in response, much like they did after the events of the Brooklyn Nine-Nine cancellation by Fox. Audiences were thrilled to see a show in which many of them saw themselves, as the show dealt with themes of mental illness, sexism, immigration, homophobia, and racism. The show's producers have stated that they will continue looking for a new home beyond Netflix. As for Netflix, well, let's just say people aren't thrilled with how the streaming service has handled things. We'll all have to stay tuned for how it plays out from here and if the show gets picked up again. Back to you, Colleen.
Thanks, Annabelle. And speaking of streaming services, listen up, joystick junkies, because Gabby's got some exciting news that could be revolutionary for the video game industry.
In gaming news today, Google has made an announcement about what they call the future of gaming, teasing their first ever appearance at the Game Developers Conference this coming Tuesday. Most people believe this to be a teaser for a new cloud gaming service, allowing for games to be played on any device without the need for specialized hardware. A few months ago, it ran an experiment called Project Stream, allowing players to play Assassin's Creed Odyssey without needing to buy it or have equipment for it. Also, a patent for a proprietary controller was leaked last week, looking similar to a GameCube controller. However, many other companies have tried and failed to do the same things, so who knows what could happen. Back to you, Colleen.
Thank you, Gabby. Last but certainly not least, we have our Fashion Win of the Week. Because of her grace, her beauty, and my sheer determination to have someone able to rock green on this episode, I decided to bestow this week's crown to the Duchess of Cambridge, Kate Middleton, who looked as stunning as ever in her emerald Alexander McQueen coat, complete with a matching fascinator, aka the tilted mini hat thing, a gold 3-leaf clover pin, and black heels. Kate and her husband, Prince William, participated in the Irish Guards' St. Patrick's Day Parade this past Sunday in Hounslow, England. Per tradition, Kate presented every officer with shamrocks during this day of festivity and pageantry, including Donal, an Irish wolfhound who serves as the mascot of the Irish Guards. Oh, just look at that precious pooch. I don't know about y'all, but I have a sudden urge to FaceTime my fam just so I can say hi to my fluffy little kitty cat back home. I miss her so much, even though she hates me. Anyway, before I let myself get distracted, I'm obligated as host to remind y'all to keep an eye out for our next episode full of excitement, insight, and of course, entertainment, right here on The Scoop. Calling Gary, out.